Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life, where we talk mostly about life in the garden. I'm Bowtie David. We live in Destin, Florida, upgraded from zone 8B to 9B in the last updates. Today, which I feel is actually a little more accurate. I always thought the 8B was too low. I don't know about 9B. I would have thought 9A. Interestingly enough, 9A is about 2 blocks that way, so we're close. Anyway, today is finally part 3 of the raised garden bed tour, and it's a little bit later in the month than I'm used to. For the past several months I've been trying to get these recorded early in the month. This has been a different month for us, but today is April 20th, so not quite the beginning of the month. We're more at the very end of the middle of the month, so we do have lots going on in the garden. Well, I'll tell you about that in a second. Ginger, beans, hot chili peppers are starting. We have blackberries, and we have a death. We have a very weird death. I mentioned that in a previous video. So we'll discuss that and maybe dissect a little. We're also going to be planting some seeds, yay! But today, this is our 25th month of doing this, which means this is the beginning of year number 3 of creating these videos. In fact, it was 2 years ago tomorrow, recording day, that I actually recorded my very first video. And so yeah, it's kind of exciting. This will come out a few days after that. I'm not sure what day this is coming out, maybe the 28th off the 22, 26th maybe. Anyway, the biggest thing is we are done with the wait and see that we've been doing for the past few months. I am standing on a few ant hills here that I have treated with some granules. I don't use any poisons very often, except when the ants get really bad. If there's just a few ants, I don't even worry about them, but I got a big ant hill right next to my right foot down here. But they seem to be settling down right now. Okay, so coming up, I've told you about, I've got a compost video coming up. I was a little disappointed in some of the stuff I heard from some of the other YouTubers, and I just wanted to address a couple of definitions and what is compost and so forth. So be sure to subscribe to Bowtie Life on YouTube, and if you have not already done so you don't miss out on a thing. For those of you who have subscribed, I thank you. You are my heroes, and you've helped make Bowtie Life what it is today. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So one of the reasons why this month is kind of thrown all off, we took a couple of days to go down to Orlando and take in the Flower and Garden Show, International Flower and Garden Festival at Epcott. And that was a lot of fun to see the topiaries and displays and all. The flowers were amazing. In fact, you'll see some of the inspiration from that visit here already coming up, because we already have germinating flowers. I planted a whole bunch of zinnias, more than I've ever planted before, which last year was more than I ever planted before. I've been increasing every year. Huge shout out to Mrs. Bowtie. Say hello, Ms. Bowtie.
Hello.
She has been looking for something to do in the garden for a long time, and since we bought this property, and she decided that she's going to help with some of the weeding. And she has been a tremendous help. In fact, you can see in this video, she filled a whole wheelbarrow full of dollarweed, which was just incredible help for me. And I'll be honest, it was a big encouragement for me too. It was very.
Mr. Bowtie said, if I'm going to complain about the way it looks, I have to help.
That's not what Mrs. Bowtie translated my words incorrectly. I'm sure of it. Anyway, so a huge shout out to Mrs. Bowtie for diving into the garden. And she's, like I said, she's been looking for years for a way to do this. I do want to mention one thing. I do recommend other channels on occasion, and I refer to places that I find are ethical and accurate, and sometimes that's kind of hard to find. So here in a little bit, I'm going to be referring to Garden Answer in something that's kind of inspired me over here. We got some death in the garden here, which I can't explain. Anyway, final thing, folks, we do not live on a very big property, and there's a lot of talk going around right now about you do not need a ton of space to grow your own food. We started on a 16-foot or 14-foot patio, I think it was, and we grew 28 tomato plants on a 14-foot shaded patio, north-facing patio. And from there, we ended up buying this property. This property is not huge. It's 100-foot wide by 106-foot deep. It's right at a quarter-acre property, and all the stuff that you see in these 3 parts of our garden tours is on our quarter-acre of property. It doesn't matter how much or how little space you have, you can grow food. You can be a part of your own security, of your own supply, however you want to do it, of your own healthy eating. And I encourage everyone to do it. There are no such things as green thumbs. It's just a lack of information, and you can get that information with channels like this one and many others that we talk about. So anyway, we'll have a property of the map here. And here I'm going to extract the raised beds because we are doing the raised beds in this video. We're going to put it down in the corner here, and it'll be this little red circle with an arrow. The circle is the camera. The arrow shows which way the camera is pointing. But this is our backyard, our small backyard. And the raised beds here are 48, I think they're 60 feet long and 13 feet wide. I had to think there for a second. That's what this section measures out to be in. And we do start off always with the GreenStalk over here, which is a little exciting because we are growing seeds for next year's broccoli. And I'm very happy to see all these seeds. There's way more broccoli seeds than we need by a long shot, but you can see how these are starting to turn yellow and they are changing. That means I will be chopping this whole branch off here pretty soon. I have a bucket started in the Florida room that I am starting to collect these pods as they start to turn brown like this. There are seeds in there, folks. There's lots and lots of seeds ready to go for next year. We do have a few other things. This is an old cauliflower that I didn't realize cauliflower did not develop more than the first bloom, and I cut them off and was hoping for some side shoots. Cauliflower doesn't do that. Yes, I know now. And there's 4 of them sitting here that I can see right now. There might be another one, I don't know. But the broccoli, it shoots off all the side shoots and does all these seeds. So we'll have broccoli. I do have 1 cauliflower plant up front. You can see in the garden tour, front side garden tour, in the sweet pea trellis. We also have parsley in here. We have a few strawberry plants. This has really been a neat device for growing just anything in a very small, a 2 square foot space. When it grows out, it's probably closer to, 4 square foot place. And when things grow out, it probably takes a little more space than that, but this thing can be used. It's GreenStalk. There is a similar one sold at Dollar General that's a lot smaller. It holds a lot less. These things are really well engineered, though. You can see you water in the top here, and I actually just have this one hooked into the irrigation, and it keeps everything moist down here. Now, the irrigation did not go off in the backyard this morning, but it does go off every other morning. And everything on here, and basically what I do, everything on here is just growing the way it should, and I will spin this thing around about that much it's not every day. Every once in a while when I come out here, I'll remember to do that. You can see under here is a lot of parsley that needs to be cut out, but we still have a lot of flat leaf parsley, Italian flat leaf parsley. And this parsley is coming to seed. Look at there. Okay, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Maybe that is a biennial plant. So over here in bed number 1, we will be planting some cucumbers on this trellis and on the other side here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to show you, now remember what's growing down? There's 2 rows of ginger here, and then there is a row of turmeric and a partial row of turmeric down there. Now, growing ginger and turmeric, folks. First off, ginger will take a while to come up, but I was very excited to see this. This right here is the first ginger coming up. Look at that. growing strong. There will soon be a whole bunch of those coming out here. I'm not sure that, nope, that's a dollar weed. But there is a lot of ginger in here, all the way up to that white water fixture right there. There's a long row, and then there's a partial row, I remember. Then there's a few turmeric. Now, turmeric, remember I said ginger will take a while to come up, and you really have to have patience. Turmeric will take forever to come up. I mean, the ginger will be up and shooting out before that turmeric even decides to show its head. So it's a little bit slower growing in my experience, though I've never grown the turmeric in a bed like this. I'm looking forward to seeing what it does, and we'll just have to see how it does differently this time. Okay, if you did not see that instant update before this month's tour started, these blackberry vines were absolutely drowned in white flowers. In fact, you can see here, there are blackberries coming out everywhere. And it is beautiful. We're gonna have a bumper crop of blackberries this year, something that I've been wanting to see for a while. And here we go. I do want to show you. So now this is a little bit more developed. This is an early one. This is a giant zinnia that I planted. There's a whole bunch of these giant zinnias planted all throughout these beds. In fact, you can see some right up in there. Interestingly enough, I have a tomato right here. It's probably a Principe Borghese, but I'm not really sure. Probably leave that one. It's not really in the way. We got a lizard right here that's very interested in being on camera. It's time for your close-up. There you go. Oh, do your do-lap thing. Come on. Let's see your chin. It was beautiful. You were doing beautiful a second ago. Well, he's shy now that he has the camera on him. I personally like the lizards. They eat a lot of bad stuff. This is one area that we have not touched. However, when I come in and start planting the okra, I will be clearing out this bed of all the dollar weed, pushing all the blackberries back, and getting this ready for okra, which is any day now because our weather. Today we're gonna hit mid 80s, about 84, I think it is, 85, which is, what was that, 28 degrees Celsius, I believe, 29 degrees Celsius. And so we will be hitting some much warmer weather. You can still see there are some blooms on those blackberries. But yeah, we will be hitting much warmer weather, which is what okra loves. And we will be giving the okra the best of all worlds. One of the things I'll be doing when I get all the weeds out of here is I'm going to come back with my own compost, which is right over here. This is about 1.5 years old compost that I have been letting process for a long time. That stuff is so ready to go in the bed. It's ready for giving nutrients to plants, and I will be supplementing. Now, we already did put about maybe 8 inches of the horse muck compost, and you can see that in other videos, but we've been supplementing all the beds with our horse muck compost, and it's been wonderful. I can tell the dollar weeds sure love it, and so do the blackberries. So from the okra bed, which this will be the 3rd year we're having okra in the exact same spot. It's a perfect location, lots of sun, deep earth, and lots of support for them. In fact, these green posts here, we put up a net here that holds them straight upright. We do, however, have our Brussels sprout plant, our one surviving Brussels sprout plant. And we have Brussels sprouts coming in another area, and I have not looked at that yet, but I do see there are things developing down here. So we may get Brussels sprouts yet. That will be a first for me. This is the second time I've tried to grow Brussels sprouts. The first time I planted them in the spring, and they grew all year, grew into the next winter, and never really developed anything. This time I'm hoping will be different. We have another area of broccoli, which you can see. These seed pods are looking amazing. So that's actually seeds inside there, and these are just starting to turn. I'm going to keep an eye on these. Once they start turning brown, I will add them to the broccoli collection. But some of them are still flowering, and look beautiful. There is another, now here's our native lizard. This is a green lizard, and he is hunting. Can you see him in there? He's looking around. He's eating a lot of food. So he's very active, getting his intake of insects. We're coming around here past the end of bed number 1, and we are at the pear tree. And yes, we have leaves on it, and I'm finally identifying it as a pear tree. I've said it was a peach tree for a while now. I've been wrong. It is a pear tree. I've never seen anything produce on it. I don't know if it's a decorative pear or if it is actually supposed to grow fruit. And we're getting kind of frustrated with this tree. So not sure what we're going to do with this. So here past the pear tree in the beginning of bed number 2, we have our kale. And this kale really looks bad. And I don't know why. And I'm wondering if maybe something got to the roots of them. But look, the middle one here looks beautiful. And I noticed this was looking bad. Oh, this is kind of getting its shrivelly thing. Oh, it feels pretty good. I noticed this the other day, and then I watched Garden Answer. And Mrs. Bowtie, would you pull down my sheet there, because it's got my note about what I'm going to say here. I told you I was going to mention Garden Answer. She had a blue enchantress microphylla hydrangea in her garden that died. Now, that's Laura over at Garden Answer. She's been doing this for over a decade. And I figured, well, I'm not going to worry about this. She doesn't seem too concerned. Occasionally you kill a plant, and I hear other experienced gardeners say that, yes, they kill plants and they don't kill plants. You're going to, as a gardener, as someone who is growing a lot of stuff, you're going to kill plants, and don't sweat over it. Now, one thing I did notice this morning is that these bottom leaves are kind of looking rough, but there are some good growth up here at the top. I'm wondering, is that... That's not seeding out, is it? I don't think it is. Okay, so past the Dino kale, we have our first little patch of Egyptian walking onions. And I thought, I didn't know about this until just recently. I thought it was chives. It is Egyptian walking onions, not chives. And then we come to the bean row. And if you saw the beginning of the outer garden bed, I couldn't remember if I planted these or not, and I went over here and I actually dug up a couple down over there and found that I had planted beans. Yes, I did plant beans. You can see they are coming up. They're coming up fairly strong. This one, see, there's the seed casing. Those seed casings, cotyledon leaves, the first true leaves, these things are getting ready to take off strong, so we are going to have another strong bean wall. I'll probably come through here and pull some more of these vines off. It's kind of thick in some areas. Not that it matters. The beans will just climb on whatever they find. We do know that we've lowered our trellis a little bit. I was way too high last year, and they are looking good. And we are not touching this side until those bean plants get a little bit more developed. They will outshine the grass and the dollar weed growing in this edge by a long ways. And when they get good and developed, we'll be able to pull these out with no problem. I'm just a little worried about the possibility of pulling up the wrong root. So if we go over to the other side of this bed, so folks, here right behind the kale, we have the kale plant right here. I'm going to grow out some of our Suyo long cucumbers. And I really like these cucumbers. I've grown these for a number of years. They have a little bit thicker skin, which means they are a little bit more insect resistant, though they still do get the caterpillars in them occasionally. But they grow to like over 2 feet long. You pick them when they're about 16 inches, and they make fantastic pickles. I love them. They've been proven for me for a long time. And that's the big thing. You got to try different kinds. Find the things that work for you. And a lot of respect to Gardener Scott for growing all new crops this year. He's not growing anything he's ever grown before, which I think is interesting. But you always want to find what's going to be best in your area. So anyway, these Suyo long cucumbers, I've been growing them for years, and basically I use these sleeves. This is just a starting pot, a nursery pot. with the bottom cut out, and I found that these help to keep the pests off of it while it's starting to grow. If I catch it, I will pull the sleeve off as it starts reaching for the trellis, but at the very beginning of its life, it just seems to need just a little bit of protection, or it seems to benefit from a little bit of protection in my garden. So basically I just set it like that, and then I take my Suyo. Now another thing is, folks, there is a date on these seed packets. This one was packed for 2022, and that doesn't mean it's not good after 2022. These seeds, which were actually packed in 21 for 22, are still good now in 2024, years later. I've kept them in their little Mylar package, sealed up inside in the cool, and they are still viable seeds. Jess over at Roots and Refuge likes to say, the only seed that will not grow is the one you don't plant. And so I always plant these. I like to get them in the ground. I'll spread a few out inside each one of these. There's 3. And then I'll put a little bit more of this in there. There is a sprinkler head over here that's going to take care of these. Oh, I do need to get one up higher for the germination. But I'm just putting in this compost, and these things will grow, or at least they have grown in the past, so I'm very confident they will continue to grow. I'm going to continue planting these, and I'll show you what else I'm going to do here in just actually I can go ahead and show you. So another thing I'm doing this year, and this is more experiment, folks. Do your experiments, find out what works in your garden. I don't know if the next seed actually works in my garden or not. How'd that get inside there? But so this is a little Ziploc baggie that I put these other seeds in, and I don't know how this cucumber seed just got inside there. This must be a hole in my bag that I don't know about. That's very strange. Anyway, these are sparkler radishes. I grew a bunch of them over around the onions, not the onions, over around the elephant garlic, which you'll see in a little bit. The reason why I'm planting these is I'm experimenting with controlling pests. And we're not big radish eaters. We might eat a radish, but I think in the 20 some odd years that Mrs. Bowtie and I have been married, we've probably not bought a single, well, maybe one radish, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember buying any radishes. We have a helicopter doing a lot of circling up here today. It's like they're doing search patterns. Well, these seeds, they're pretty small, and I'm gonna try to spread them out just a little bit. And they don't have to be buried deep because they're small, you know, they don't need to go deep. But I'm gonna be just distributing these radish seeds all around these cucumbers. Maybe it'll help control some insects. Wow, he is right there. So yeah, I do not know if this is a good idea or not. We'll find out together, because I will talk about it again. Here in a little bit, you'll see where I've planted some more of these sparkler radishes. Radishes are a very fast crop, fast growing, which means they'll pop up fast. And I don't know, maybe we'll taste test one. I don't know. So well, I think I got a little smarter. Rather than using the horse muck compost, I remembered I have a bucket of good starting soil in there, so I'm basically going to cover those seeds with about 1/2 inch of this stuff. That will help it a lot better developing. And you can see over here on the other side, I've already set these up. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I got 3 or 4 seeds in every one of these sleeves. I'll put some irrigation up here, one head on either side. That will get in the pots while they're germinating. Once they germinate, I'll be able to take that down. So yeah, there we go. Now the radish seeds. So there we go. We've got 3 or 4 seeds in each one of the containers. You can see there's a little irrigation head sticking out of that post right there. And on the other side, another 4. This is what I do every year. Get a few seeds in about 4 containers. And these are actually some clips that Lynn and Susan gave me a couple years ago. Thank you for that. But hopefully that will hold that head at the right angle to kind of spread into that. And incidentally, there's something I wanted to show you here. I actually got some new irrigation heads, and I do like these. These are really nice. When they're sitting here in the bed, they will spread below the leaf level, real low. They'll spread water. And I recently bought some new ones, and these are misters, not sprayers. Whoops, dropped one on the ground. I had to go back and get more of these sprayer heads because they do me so much better. These are the ones I went to last year. In fact, you can see here in this video, I tried to, you can see how one head is actually spraying and kind of getting blown away, and these heads here are getting spread out the right way. So anyway, more seeds planted, folks. Thanks for joining me for this. Let's continue on with the tour. Okay, so here on the other side, that's the bean wall over there, we have our pepper row. And I don't know what most of these are. We'll just have to find out when we get there. I do have a label here that I can't read. I didn't rewrite that one. Oh well, I think it's a peppadew, but I'm not sure. We have peppadew, we have dragon cayenne, and we have Thai hot. Interestingly enough, if you look here, you can see little itty bitty buds starting to form. This is probably a Thai hot, I think, and that's about as close as I can get to identifying anything. There's this one right here is really starting to come out with its buds. Look at there. There's even a white one down there. Can you see that? So this is kind of where Mrs. Bowtie got to. We do have, we have a mammoth jalapeno right there with all kinds of flowers on it that I'm very excited about. I know Mrs. Bowtie is too. We were short on jalapenos last year. You'll see also in the middle there, those are more of those zinnias. I actually came through and planted more of those after going to the Flower and Garden Festival. So, coming over here, and that is our Everglades tomatoes. They are getting ready to start producing. I'm so excited. I need to come in here and retie that vine out. I'm trying to spread those few plants out. There is a 16-foot cattle panel right here that I want them to stay on and not hit the Super Sweet 100 vine trellis on this side, so we can get a little more separation. I wasn't sure which was which last year, so I want to try to get a little more space, a little more airflow through there. In fact, let's just get in here and start doing this. So this is not a complicated thing at all. Basically, I'm going to take these vines, and I've already started some of these going outwards, and I'm just going to continue that, kind of espalier them outwards. There's somewhere between 5 and 6 plants, maybe 7 plants in here, which is way too much for this area, but we're going to have massive productions of Everglades tomatoes, and they will be starting very soon because, I mean, these buds on here are amazing. But I'm going to take my sisal twine, and I use sisal twine, not jute. Sisal twine is stronger. It will last a full season. It'll actually last more than the season. I frequently have sisal twine last through the winter and into the next year. Jute is made with a different fiber. Sisal twine is made with agave fiber and is just stronger out here in our sun and our harsh conditions. I kept finding that the jute would break sooner in our sun. The sun would get to it, and it was a little rough. As you can see, we got 4 plants actually tied up, and I actually have 4 backup plants in there that I could cut back if the 4 main plants do not take. So tomatoes are obviously on the way. Look at these flowers just aching to explode. I'm very excited about that. I know Mrs. Bowtie is too, aren't you?
Yes.
Love those cherry tomatoes. This will actually fill this whole cattle panel. So past bed number 2. And we will be, past bed number 2, we have the aloe patch, which is looking a little rough again, which looks this way about once a quarter. And I get in here and pull grass and weeds and other things. Now I do enjoy leaving these weeds to grow. They don't bother me in the least. They feed the bees, which if you watch my videos, you know I've got a bee box just right over there. And I just enjoy having the weeds. I don't cut my grass nearly as often as the average person I know, just because I like the flowers. And so here we come to the beginning of bed number 3. And of course, the pepper patch. And we have a whole bunch of pepper plants in here right now. Jalapeno, Fatali, Scotch Bonnet, peri, another peri, another jalapeno. We had a habanero coming back. I don't think the habanero is coming back. I may have to go plant a new seed for those, but just wanted to show you this Scotch Bonnet here. Those of you who received some of the Scotch Bonnet last year, I think, see, look here, there's buds already starting in the Scotch Bonnet plant. There's all the way, oh, I see jalapeno peppers popping out of that thing right there already. Full grown, not full, well, certainly edible. You can eat these things at any time, but look at this. Let's see if I can get in here. Can you see that? On the camera, barely, right? There is jalapenos coming out down here. I am very excited about that. So yeah, we'll have jalapenos very soon. Peri coming out. Oh, there's another jalapeno. Oh, I see tiny jalapenos coming out of that thing down there. And whatever this is, it looks like it's coming back right there. Oh my goodness, that's very cool. I wonder what that is. I do not know. Some of these we're just gonna have to wait until they grow. We've got a mammoth jalapeno here that's coming back. This is after, of course, being overwintered out here in the beds. Now, those pepper plants over in bed number 2, those pepper plants were overwintered. I dug them out and I overwintered them in the Florida room, and they did 100% success. I was very excited about that. You can go back and look at our video on that in another place. But here we are. We actually covered this. In fact, you can see there's cattle panels right there, 8-foot cattle panels. We made a bit of a greenhouse in here, covered it with plastic, used these bricks. One of the reasons why I don't have these bricks glued, because I'll take the bricks off and they weigh down the plastic on both sides and make a completely enclosed greenhouse on our peppers. And yeah, it's very cool because it stayed over the freezing temperatures during the winter. We lost all the leaves, all the branches. We cut them back to the ground. Well, cut them back, not quite to the ground, obviously. But we cut them back and they thrived. So that's a pomegranate. And then the last thing we have growing on purpose, last bed we have growing on purpose is here. We have elephant garlic. And folks, this is elephant garlic growing scapes. I'm not sure who told me that elephant garlic will not grow scapes, period. But this elephant garlic most definitely is. And we will be collecting. They're getting way big now. They really need to be trimmed. These scapes are basically the flowering of the garlic underneath the ground. This will steal energy away from the development of the garlic itself, as will all the weeds that we have in here. But I also have planted, I see down there we have some radishes growing right there, which is kind of cool. And right here, we have 1 and 2 Brussels sprout plants. I'm so excited. So we might have more Brussels sprouts this year. These were planted kind of late. We'll have to put in the ground, I should say, kind of late. We'll have to see what happens. So I'm gonna have to get in here and clean out the weeds over here. The rest of this bed, we don't have anything on purpose. Oh, well, no, I gotta show you. We have a head of garlic I missed, sprouted. And this whole thing that looks like grass, this is all garlic of some kind. I don't know which kind it is, but it's a whole head that I missed, and there's a whole bunch of little garlic plants growing in there, which I think is just way too cool. So there's other radishes down here developing. I didn't thin these. I planted them to help get rid of pests, maybe. A lot of stuff growing in this thing. Oh, I see tomato plants actually coming up over here. No idea what it is, so it's all gonna have to come out. Now, there's a whole bunch of tomato plants over here. Probably Super Sweet 100 seeds growing, which you don't know what you're gonna get if it's Super Sweet 100, because that is a hybrid combination of 2 tomatoes, so it could be features from either of the 2 parent tomatoes or something even worse. So of course the very last thing I cover here is the goji berries, and they have all fallen away from, actually they kind of fell away because I pulled a few of my growing trees out of there, and I basically need to come in here, trim out any dead stuff, and retie them back up there. By next garden tour, which should be happening in about 2 weeks, that should be all tied up. Making a promise here, people. You know how I am with promises, not great. So there we go. As promised, I got those scapes off the elephant garlic. Those are huge. I can't get over that. One of these days I'm gonna let one of those actually bloom and see what they look like. But that's the backyard raised garden bed tour. Thank you for following along today. If you've already subscribed to Bowtie Life, you are my heroes. You've helped make Bowtie Life what it is today. We are trying to grow our channel to the next level. When we reach that point, we will be able to do so much more. And if you're just finding our channel, Bowtie Life on YouTube, this is my own personal journal of things going on in the garden. I refer back to these videos all the time, and sometimes I'll play the videos while I'm getting ready in the morning and remember to do something and come out and do something and like cut these scapes. This is a few hours after the video recording was done. I came out and cut the scapes because I got reminded by something else. So be sure to subscribe to Bowtie Life on YouTube so you don't miss a thing happening in the garden as I document all the important events. You can also help grow the channel by clicking the thumbs up on this video and sharing it on your social media with friends who are getting excited about starting their gardens for the new year. And be sure and comment below if you have any questions or comments on anything that you saw in this. I love hearing from y'all and hearing what's happening in your garden. So please comment below and have a blessed day.